Hello, friends. I'm going to talk about quantum body, quantum mind, quantum universe in a moment. But before I do that, I'd like to thank you once again for becoming a peace facilitator and a spiritual leader. And for those of you who still haven't joined, please go to cfi.choprafoundation.org. CFI stands for Chopra Foundation Institute, a nonprofit entity. And please become a peace facilitator and a spiritual leader, which is basically the Soul of Leadership course. Okay, now to address some of the issues that are being raised as we publish this book with Jack Kaczynski, who's a quantum physicist, and Brian Fertig. And I, of course, expected, because of my past experience, some negativity around the book, and already have seen a very negative review in Publishers Weekly, very critical, saying that the book is unscientific. What does eating broccoli or vegetables or fruits or lentils have to do with quantum body? And obviously, the answer is that these foods are derived directly from the energy of the sun, which is photons, which are both waves and particles at the same time, and photosynthesis is a quantum mechanical process. And plants themselves are made of photons and electrons, which are all quantum qualities. But let's discuss a little bit, okay, the basic principles of quantum mechanics are entanglement. Entanglement is a phenomenon in which pairs or groups of particles are generated or interact in such a way that the quantum state of each particle of the pair or group cannot be described independently of the state of the others, even when the particles are separated by large distances. This is called entanglement or non-local correlation, or acausal, that means without cause, acausal quantum mechanical interrelatedness. A second principle in quantum mechanics is quantum uncertainty, or we may even say complementary uncertainty. It's the principle that certain pairs of physical quantities, such as position and momentum, cannot be known simultaneously with arbitrary high precision. And then something else called interactivity is the idea that an act of measuring a quantum system affects the system itself. This is in contrast to classical physics, where measurements are assumed to have no effect on the system being measured. These three concepts are closely related and play a fundamental role in quantum theory. So that's the first principle. Now, the second principle, in at least our thinking and the authors, is that quantum fluctuations are actually ripples in the fabric of space-time. But today, the thinking is going a little bit beyond that, and that is to think about quantum fluctuations as evidence of a deeper level of reality that exists beyond space-time. And so there are physicists now who believe that space-time is simply an emergent property of this deeper reality, and that quantum fluctuations are a manifestation of the underlying quantum structure of the universe, which is that fluctuations actually create space-time from a deeper reality. So our thesis is that that deeper reality is quantum consciousness or quantum mind, consciousness being the field of infinite possibilities. Entanglement has the same principles as what we call uncertainty, and ultimately interactivity, which is creative, and it ultimately results in the flow of creative intelligence, which governs the universe, constructs, governs, conceives, and becomes the universe. So that's the basis of quantum body. And going to that field, which is deeper even than space-time, actually is a field of self-regulation, self-organization, self-evolution, and creativity. Now, the process of meditation is very interesting because, when you look at the world of physical objects, you see objects with well-defined margins, locations in space-time, and separate from each other. But if you close your eyes, of course, the physical world disappears, and what you experience is the slow descent from certainty to uncertainty, from clarity to ambiguity. In fact, there's a proliferation of uncertainty, ambiguity, and soon that leads to actually losing the separate mind. And it leads to a feeling where there is entanglement, correlation, synchronicity, whatever you call it. And ultimately, as you go deeper in meditation to the field of samadhi, where there's no subject-object split, you actually reach that field where everything is one. So from certainty to uncertainty, ambiguity, proliferation of that, all of that, and then entanglement, synchronicity, correlation, and ultimately oneness. The field is one. And that's the field of consciousness. So consciousness actually expresses itself through the principles of entanglement, quantum uncertainty, and also correlation or entanglement. And that's the nature of our mind. So, the quantum field starts with all of that. Creative interactivity, complementarity, entanglement, and then the world of physical objects, which are perceptual activities in our own consciousness as sensations, images, feelings, thoughts. So there is certainly reason to believe that our thoughts are space-time events in consciousness, and that quantum fluctuations are also space-time events in consciousness. So there are many scientists now who believe that quantum fluctuations are actually an expression of consciousness, or could be at the basis of consciousness itself. And as we explore this world through science, which is theory, observation, and experimentations, we will learn, and are already learning, that quantum fluctuations are the basis of consciousness and are also involved in the creation of neural connections, which is essential for learning and memory. This view is supported by experimental evidence. And there we are at this moment. Meditation improves health because it takes us to the source of all experience, which is the field of consciousness itself. Let me know your thoughts and your feedback, and do know that Quantum Body is now available as pre-order. It'll be out in a month or so. But as always, thank you for your support, and also for your feedback, and that includes your criticism. Have a wonderful day.